good sign when somebody in the front row goes, like, wow, we're ready. We're pumped up. It's going to happen. I'm going to sneak over here and try to get everybody's intro. Are you guys ready? You can start the intro music. I'm going to introduce everybody. Oh, here we go. You ready? All right. Glad to bring to the stage tonight our artist in residence, Darrell Hammond, political strategist Aaron Lyles, culture pundit Bridget, Phetasy, and host Louie Sabatasso. Give it up for him, everybody.
Go.
Louie
Oh, there we go. Now we're good.
Louie took the jacket
Guys,
off.
Now we got it. Yes, jacket is off. I'm doing the Mr. Rogers still. I'm going to start the show every week with the jacket
Oh, boy.
on the mic stand.
I still think you
it's
need
good.
to change your shoes if you're going to do it.
That's a bit much. That's too Mr. Rogers aggressive. Wow, what a crowd. Thanks for coming out. A big hand for Dustin David, our fact checker.
Oh, my God. So funny. He was great.
So we've been, this is like our 13th or 14th show. We've been the Summit live at the Improv up to this point. Bridget, who is the newest member of our show, coined the term shelter for the politically homeless. And she did it about a year ago, and she has told us that we can use that name for this show. So from henceforward, we are going to start calling the show Shelter for the Politically Homeless, because ultimately that's what we are. Because what is politically homeless?
Nation.
Bridget, what is politically homeless?
I think it's, they've done these studies called the exhausted majority, and it was the majority of people who really neither lean extreme left or extreme right. And they also call them the silent majority because everything is so partisan and everybody is so angry all the time. The extremists kind of have the mic and they're the loudest. And so the majority of reasonable common sense people seem to have shut down or shut up. And they're not really, nuance is getting squashed and conversation isn't really happening across the aisle as much because the extremes of both sides are saying, I'm right and you're evil. And this is the way.
Or I'm right and you're stupid, or I'm right and you're crazy, or you have this opinion, right, Darrell? It's like if I say that, yeah, immigration is like, it's a problem, and it's separated. If you say that, then Louie, you are a racist, right? If I say that, then I'm going to get people to Darrell. That's not nice. It's not nice to call people
Fact
racist.
check.
Trump had lied 15,000 times while in office, so you could go online and they have all of them. Is that fake news, Louie Sabatasso?
Well, I don't know. It's a different. Listen, it's like I think that I've said this before on here. I think Trump has a different relationship to the truth. I think Trump thinks people that go in front of cameras, in front of the public, and tell the truth are stupid and weak. Like, why would you do that? There's nobody keeping score. There's nobody telling you have to do that. Watch how far I get not doing that. So who's right and who's wrong?
But
the guy's president of the United States, and all this stuff is going down because of it.
I don't know.
Question, Louie. What do you think Trump's relationship with lying is?
I don't think he has. He doesn't have that sort of. He is not burdened with a moral compass that way.
So
he's just
good
not.
Relationship.
He's not burdened with any sort of ideology.
But I think there's a case to be made that it's a value system. It's not truth or an untruth, even though in a lot of cases there are certifiable lies that you can fact check and actually see. I think it's also he believes a certain set of values and sees that as an ultimate truth. And a lot of people who are behind him feel that same way. And the same thing on the left.
Right.
I think these are two different value systems. And to your point of, the quiet middle, there's a term called biconceptualist. And I think it's not what you think it is, Louie. There's like, I've been in a hole with a few of them.
I'm biconceptual. Not.
And those are people who kind of share both value systems, and they're not as loud as the extreme polar opposite. So, but do you feel like those those people are just quiet because they already know how they're voting, and we just don't hear those voices, or
Partially, but I also think because of there's a lot of self-censoring going just because people seem to be siloing their public persona versus what they privately held beliefs. You know, you see this a lot around like the gender stuff. You see it a lot around. I think people have more moderate, nuanced takes on most things, and there are people who might be pro-gun and also pro-choice, and they're not really represented in the public
yeah.
discourse.
And I think that's the thing about the shelter for the politically homeless is trying
Yeah.
to get a voice for that. But Darrell, that's something that you've brought up on at least, I would say, 7 episodes, which is the number of lies Trump has had, right? You've spent some personal time with him.
Yeah.
What are your feelings on his relationship with the truth? I've never asked you, what do you think? Do you think he understands that he's lied 15,000 times? Do you think he really has? And do you think he cares?
Well, I don't know. Let's say he lied 100 times. You know, I don't know how many times it is, but I feel like, you know, he
I
grew
do.
up.
15,413.
Yeah. Just
It's
makes
a
it up
a
as he.
couple.
Citation
Couple, yeah.
needed.
So what do you
Yeah.
think of that? I mean, what?
I think that he
Washington Post.
grew up in Queens. His father was a builder in Queens, and then he was a builder in Queens and New York City. And the people that build things for you, the construction people, you know, are the mafia. So Trump was reared on finding weak spots, and he basically was reared on the mafia. And
He
that's how
cut
they-
his teeth, as they say.
as a
with the
business
mafia.
person on the mafia, and
Yeah.
that just amounts to getting away as much as you can get away with.
But do you understand that he actually I've recently come to this where I think he thinks sitting there and doing a press conference or talking to the camera and telling the truth, he's like, you guys are all suckers that you play that game.
I don't know. Do you think that he thinks that, or do you think he really just believes what he's saying?
No,
That's what you used.
I think he
I
just
kinda-
believes
That's what
what
you
he's
used.
saying.
Louis, didn't you used to think that?
I used to say that, but when I wasn't as
that
involved.
he suffered from solipsism, and that the only thing that's even real is in here.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
he believes what he's saying.
Some of it.
I
You think
disagree.
he knows he's
Yeah, I think he thinks it doesn't matter because his ultimate objective is his ultimate objective, and I don't think he thinks it matters. To be
Even
honest.
But it also
TBH.
it also kind of says, listen, if you want to get away with shit, just sort of touch on the truth just a little bit. Maybe just put a lie between
So
two
a little
truth-
bit of
because
confusion.
you can rely on this fact: the people that Bridget is talking about are not going to read it. They're not going to research it, and they're not going to ask questions.
I disagree. That I think
Well,
actu-
then how does he get away? I'm sorry to interrupt.
I just think that just because they're the silent majority doesn't mean that they're not researching things. I actually think they do more deep dives and more researching, and that's why they have a more
All right.
rational take
Then what
on
about
things.
what about Trump's base?
But that's not the exhausted majority.
Okay, you're right. I'm wrong.
That's the
I don't even know what that term means.
that's just that would be the
I still think he gets away with it because people aren't paying attention.
well, yeah, but that you could say that about any administration, no?
No,
I think it matters where.
I think
people
they
are
used to
paying
pay attention a little bit. No.
I didn't pay attention during Obama.
Yeah.
Oh,
Checked
what? You
out,
didn't-
brother.
You didn't
Just
say
checked
Obama,
out.
did you? pal?
Obama was president?
Did you say President Obama?
I
He,
missed that.
But I was spaced out the whole time.
Obama was responsible for the strike last week, wasn't he?
I
That
thought it
so
was
much-
Hillary's fault because she didn't go to Wisconsin.
But she can't tweet in Farsi either. So.
Oh, wow.
I think.
Spoiler alert, I did not watch the news at all last week,
What?
so I know not of what you speak. I'm just the moderator
Yeah, I
of this
don't
show.
either.
I
You-
don't need to keep
you-
up
you
with
guys
such
talk
things.
about it.
No, we don't know.
I don't know. And what was I didn't
None of us know anything.
Well,
so-
listen, I honestly didn't. I don't know. This is news to me. The strike thing and Hillary and Obama and not
Oh,
that
no.
it's not new to me that they're blaming Obama and
That's all
Hillary
we're
for
saying.
stuff
We're
happening
joking.
today.
Yeah,
I
they're not
understand.
actually
That's
responsible.
amazing.
Well, they
I
took
love that
out.
he's like, is this actual news?
Yeah.
The
No.
fact that's like point proven that could be taken as, oh, I'm sorry, I missed the fact.
Yeah,
that
I missed
Obama
some,
and Clinton were.
I missed
involved
the
in
news
this.
story on Fox
Yeah.
because that sounds like a Fox News story.
Why are you looking at me?
Bridget, I'm not looking at you any reason other
You watch
than
Fox though, right?
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do a
I
little bit.
watch everything.
But
I channel surf through them all.
but as the culturist, right? Like I think.
I don't know.
But you take a really unique lens that I admire because I am like, I feel like a 9-year-old man when it comes to this. Like, we talked about this before, where like I was going through this article and talking about like the policy and all this stuff around legislation. I forgot what we were talking about, and you're like, I've been monitoring Twitter and all the social handles around this, but not in this like, childish way where it's just like, I don't read the news. I just look at Instagram. Like, you really study how people are reacting to this, and you take away what that event was like based on the culture around it.
Well, what's
that's
interesting
to me.
It's I live in Twitter, so what's interesting to me is the diplomacy by Twitter that we kind of all witnessed this past week.
Yes.
Where it's, very quickly what the right's saying, what the left's saying, and what libertarians are saying, because I follow journalists from all of those different categories. But it was interesting to see this whole thing of Soleimani breaking, and then Trump tweets across all social media just a picture of the American flag.
And a really low res one at that.
It was a low res
Darrell.
pick.
It was a really low
not
res.
great.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
just troll in
Pixelated.
chief, this is, and then I think an advisor.
But what does that mean? Like, what does that mean? Like, in the Twitterverse, him posting just an American flag, everyone's gonna lock in and be like, it means this, it means that. It means like, are people on Twitter actually dissecting that? Or it's just like, wow, that was brilliant. He didn't have to say anything.
Why did he do it?
That's what I want to know. Like,
Why do you think he did it, Aaron, our political strategist? And that's your world. Please tell
well,
us.
I think the flag symbolizes a lot of things for a lot of people. In
He wanted to
different
make it a
ways.
matter of patriotism. Maybe.
Thank you.
Yeah,
He wanted
exactly.
to simply down
And
to
if
either you're
against-
with us
and
or
if you're
against us.
Yeah,
But
and if
is
you're
that what
With
people
us
are
or
reading?
against
and
us.
if you're not supporting the strike on Soleimani,
fact check?
Fact check on the flag.
We have a gentleman clapping there when I said it. You're either with us or against us.
Yes.
Is that a
What's your name, sir? Randall Harlan. All right.
Randall Harlan.
We'll get to you in a minute.
We still don't know if he's with us or against us, though. He just clapped. So.
Well, it says here that Trump tweeted the photo of the American flag minutes before the Pentagon claimed the U.S. killed Iran's top military general in an airstrike. So that
Right.
might have been why he tweeted the American
Well, that's
flag.
what I mean.
But it's
it's
unconfirmed.
diplomacy by Twitter. It was breaking in the news, so the journalists got wind of it, but everybody waits until they get confirmation from the Pentagon to actually say that. Really, in times like this, even the other night when there was all the missile strikes from Iran, there was a lot of different conflicting information about what was happening. But you really should, as a journalist, wait until the Pentagon confirms something. So it was his way of getting in between the news cycle that was breaking and the official confirmation of the Pentagon, which is, him being like, I'm on top of this and know it's coming, but also kind of tipping his hand a little bit that it's true.
And then he used Twitter to say, "Hey, if they escalate this, we are going to strike." Like, remember? And like, it's like, wow, you just did that on Twitter.
Right,
Which
but that's
was-
what's so weird about this time is that it's real leaders having real conflict, and it seems virtual. It's like real people are dying. There are real effects of this, and even he was like an ambassador to the supreme leader, and he tweeted the Iranian flag after the missile strikes, and so this is like happening online. It's like a giant virtual game of Risk.
So is this a positive thing? Is this like modernizing politics, or is this fucking scary?
Well, it's terrifying, but also the memes are hilarious.
Wow. So
Oh man.
it's terrifying, but the memes are hilarious. So I think what that's saying, Darrell, is if we can get some funny memes out of it.
That's worth World War III.
Yeah.
The World War III memes were
That's kind of it.
objectively hilarious.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I mean,
World-
we gotta laugh while the world burns, at the very least.
I mean-
I know it's not.
Well, the
maybe-
world is burning because Australia is basically gone. I think last time I checked, there's no more Australia.
Australia.
Australia is on fire as we speak.
It's scary, man.
It's the entire continent of Australia is burning as we speak, Darrell. Did you know that?
Darrell owns koalas. So.
Darrell, what do you know who started that fire in Australia?
Things are tough all over in Slobovia. I think it was one of your relatives, wasn't it? You never started a fire, though.
That was arson, though, right?
I never started a fire, Darrell, but
but-
here we go.
Fact check.
On the origin of the Australian fire, or on Louie starting fires?
Louie.
Yeah.
There
He definitely did.
is currently the enormous mega fire in Australia engulfs 1.5 million acres.
How many animals killed?
Over a billion.
Over a billion.
Over a
Not
billion.
a billion.
One
That
billion.
is the fact checker is not giving us facts right
Over a
now.
That's
billion.
from the news. Where do you want me to get my information from?
It's not
Do you have
over
a ballpark?
billion animals killed. It's
Yeah.
maybe displaced, and half of a billion have been displaced, I believe.
Let's-
Wait, where are you getting your information from?
Yeah.
I can't even trust the fact checker comedian.
Well,
Point of- point of clarification, where
what
did you
source
hear
of
that?
what source do you trust? Look at CNN. Do you trust CNN? Fox?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
But does anyone?
What news sources does our audience
How many
trust?
animals
Yeah.
does Fox say got killed? 'Cause
Fox?
it's-
New York Times says a professor estimated this
Oh,
week
God.
that a billion animals had died in Australia's wildfires.
So does anyone
New
check
York
Okay,
like?
Times. I mean,
we
that-
need to dig deep in this. A professor said this?
Professor estimated.
Okay.
So you know it's counting
So
the animals.
They're counting insects.
Mm,
Insects are living creatures.
because
They
there is
might be.
And they have souls and they have mothers and
They
I
do.
fathers.
Those are
agree.
animals.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, are you playing like? Are
The-
they bigger than a bread box? Like how?
the point is there's no such thing as global warming, and these fires, are just a fluke, right?
Fact
Didn't
check.
anybody see the
Some-
Thornbirds?
Thornbirds.
What's the Thornbirds?
Was it that Disney
Again, I
show?
was a
No,
little out
it
of
was
it.
a really
last couple
old
weeks. I've been on
movie.
vacation.
This is Australia, but there were fires in that movie too.
Oh, an Australian fire movie reference. Yeah, we could go to
That's part of the fact check. It's in
we could
there.
go to Road Warrior as well, which was another Australian
but-
films with much
Richard
explosions.
Chamberlain stars
Yeah.
as a
Fire.
priest forced to make a choice between his feelings and his ambitions
And
in the
God.
sweeping adaptation.
Ooh, it was an adaptation of
19
what?
love
What did they adapt?
1983 of Colleen McCullough's
Really wish I
novel,
saw this.
set in the early 1900s at a sheep station. Sounds gripping. I missed that one.
And we're now going to screen the
Somehow.
film.
Join us.
I want to just hear Darrell do more impressions.
Yes. Take us out of this misery.
Give us a
Please
Richard
do
Chamberlain.
impressions while the world burns. I need a meme. I need a meme.
I need to know how many animals are dead.
New York Times said estimated by a professor over a billion.
Yeah, but that
That's-
paper's a little.
Ooh.
Wait, but do we not check the wires,
This
like
is what
AP
my
wires?
this is
and
what my
routers?
relatives would
AP.
say.
Like, do
It's
we?
not-
well, I mean,
Guys,
like,
one at a
what
time.
is-
One at a time, guys. Come on.
Sorry.
My relatives would say, "There's something about that paper that just ain't right."
Okay, ready? Australia's fires
And
have
nothing.
Australia's fires have killed or imperiled 1 billion animals. FoxNews.com.
Ooh.
But all of these companies are publicly traded. Is there a source that you trust that is not, that is based in
NPR.
journalism and reporting? Like,
I do National Public
is it
Radio.
punditry? Like, what is the source? Like, should there be one place that people are getting it from? If you don't have direct
I don't think there
knowledge?
is one place. I think it takes work.
Takes work. Yeah.
So you look at all the sources and then go deeper into all the sources. But who's got time for that?
Exactly. So what's the solution?
That's
Oh,
why
man.
they need to
Yeah.
come to the shelter for the
They
politically
do.
homeless.com, a website I'm starting right
Yeah.
after
Okay,
the show.
I'm on NPR and it
and
says
it will be the truth.
NPR says there was no fire. It was fake news.
What would
Awesome.
Al
Fact
Sharpton
check.
say? That's what I want to know.
What kind of segue is that?
Just one-
What kind of ham-handed segue was? What the fuck? If I'm gonna fucking hike up my skirt for 6 people.
Let me handle the
Five
segues.
people.
Let me handle the
6,000
segues.
people. Yeah. Tried.
No, that was very good. Should I talk about?
No.
You
Yeah,
really
what happened was we found a clip of, and we're segueing into something else, but it is something pretty. Whoa, what was that? Something amazing. which was a clip-
duck.
Somebody. Aaron, talk about the clip that you sent to all of us and what it was.
Yeah, and I didn't do a deep dive on this, but Matt Gaetz was basically. Do you have that, Dustin? By the way, it was Matt Gaetz was grilling Al Sharpton at this hearing about police brutality, and there was a history between him and Joe Scarborough and things they've said in the past about this. And like honestly, I was watching this whole thing like, what, like just bananas. But it was funny because Gaetz would be grilling him about something he said about somebody, thinking I got you, and Sharpton was like, "Yep." Like, it just his response was amazing. Yeah, I said that, and here's why. And I see what you're trying to do, and I'm not going to give you a yes or no. And it was theater, and it was absolutely amazing. But yeah, so that's it.
Did you,
I didn't watch it.
Darrell? You have some experience with Al Sharpton, do you not? Into the mic, bud.
I have been interviewed a couple times by him.
You have been interviewed. Okay, and what was your impression of Al Sharpton?
I know Bridget will disagree, but I feel like he's the only person I've ever met in politics that comes close to saying exactly what he's thinking.
Not Donald Trump. I mean,
Well,
Donald Trump.
I mean, I'm talking about
good
maybe
or bad, he
maybe
says what pops
journalism.
in his head.
Journalism.
Okay, so what? Give me an example. Why did you didn't just come to that conclusion? What did you say or he say that
I'm trying to
gave
burn
you
a
that-
little time here.
that gave you the
I have plenty
what
of
happened?
topics.
I want to hear it.
When he, well, he says things that are people find outrageous. You know, like that other people don't say. Like as an example, when I was watching TV one day and I saw Dick Eppard talking about Homeland Security, and then I changed the channel and I saw Joseph Lieberman, talking about tax cuts. And I turned on Fox, and I heard Sharpton say, "I did not call Rudy Giuliani a bozo." I said Bozo could have done just as good a job as Rudy Giuliani. Now, clearly that's not calling Giuliani bozo. Clearly that's not saying Giuliani is bozo. Clearly there's a world of difference between calling Giuliani bozo and saying that Bozo and Rudy Giuliani have a similar degree of talent.
Very clear. That's very clear.
That's awesome.
That's very clear. So, your take on Al Sharpton was that he tended to just say what popped into his mind. So, what did he say to in the interview with you? What did he bring up to you where you're like, that just popped into Sharpton's mind?
He just said he turned to his producer and he was talking about me.
Yeah.
And whoever it was, I know he was talking about me because I had just done this character on the show. Maybe he didn't like it. So he was saying, he's talking to his producer. He's going, "Homeboy can do Bill Clinton." I was like, "What? Oh, you didn't like my Benjamin Franklin?" Homeboy can do. I did this joke on the Tonight Show once that he got a little upset about. I had to
What was it?
The joke was, he talked about the cops had shot a guy dressed in full Middle Eastern at the airport.
Yeah.
They were stopping these people if they were dressed like Osama bin Laden. So he did say something like this, something like, "That's not racial profiling. That's called a suspect fits a description." if I ever see another dude with a tablecloth on his head and a scraggly ass beard, I'm gonna shoot the bitch. He didn't say that.
Oh, it's like, wow, did he really?
But
Go
he
that?
Point
did not.
made.
He did not
Point
say
made.
that.
Yes.
Fact track?
Please do to save us.
The tablecloth on his head.
It's
great.
I can imagine him. He actually said that.
No, but he is honest like that. Like in
He
that
is a-
hearing
that's
too,
the
he did
point.
the same thing. Yeah,
That would be the point of that. And I do contend. I heard some gruntles of disagreement when I said Donald Trump is kind of the same way. He says what pops in his head, and in that way, he is very transparent and calls himself the most transparent president in history. With the 15,000 lies, and I get that's the rub. But he is transparent. You do sort of, kind of can tell what he's thinking. He's very. There's not a lot going on there, which makes him very transparent. I think he actually is a trans man. What do you think about that, Bridget?
I'm looking at Darrell because he was trying to say something.
It's just that when I was I sometimes work at this show called SNL, right?
Which is also on Saturday night.
So I was talking to them yesterday about this job they want me to do because sometimes I announce the show and shit. And we were saying, is Trump a sociopath? Is he a grifter? Is he a con man? Is he a businessman? Is he a visionary? Is he Sun Tzu reincarnated, keeping everybody off balance all the time? And I thought to myself, I don't know what he is. He's a Donald Trump. I've never seen anyone like him.
He's kind of a combination.
I mean, Clinton hints at the manipulation and all that, but nobody plays it like Trump. I mean, to set those Democrats up to look like terrorist lovers.
Terrorist
Yeah,
lovers.
that's-
Yes.
No, but that's what we were
I mean,
talking
that's
about
what,
earlier.
It's like if you don't understand, it's like, listen, and the crazy thing is we are now, we're 8 months away from an election now.
Yeah, a year
10
from
months away
now
from an
we'll be
election.
on the other side of this shit show.
And
Well, at
it's,
least no.
and
Really? Oh, okay.
it's,
Oh no,
it's like-
hopefully
and-
it will
you
be
mean
another
the-
and
4
the
years.
left hasn't, still, they've not learned anything. And they're playing right into Donald Trump's hands. I mean, it's like, sometimes I watch what's going on, I'm thinking they're in cahoots with Trump.
He's literally tweeting in Farsi.
He
Right.
tweeted in Farsi today.
Today.
Yeah.
We showed it to Darrell.
Does everyone know the scene in Rocky 1 when Burgess Meredith is trying to get Rocky faster? So he has Rocky chasing a chicken.
Yes.
I
It
feel
was
like
Rocky too.
It's
but,
iconic in
yeah.
the
Are you
alleyway,
sure it's
right?
two?
It was two.
That's how the Democrats seem to me trying to keep up with Trump.
That's actually a beautiful
Trump is like
visualization.
Daffy Duck to them. They don't know what the fuck is going on.
The left is
Yeah.
Wile E. Coyote, and Trump is the thing.
Wait,
because
The
they
Roadrunner.
think
The
if
Roadrunner.
they think that facts win and that's it, and they think that if they can disprove something through fact, that's it. They can go home. That's one part. The other part is they don't project their value system, so you don't really know what they stand for, and you get lost in the policy. I think that happens a lot. So.
I've never said this on this show, but this is something that there has to be something to this. I spent a little bit of time with him years and years ago, and Jaws music, and the next morning after I went out with him and my sister and my dad spent some time with him. My dad, I was a little bit hungover, was drinking at the time. And my dad said, "So Louie, what do you think of this guy?" And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I feel kind of silly saying this, but is he a little bit dumb? And my dad said, "Yeah, he comes across as a little bit dumb." That's the mastery of Donald Trump.
So you
he
think
makes
there's a
you
bigger plan
think-
behind it?
He makes you think he's stupid.
everything is like in boxing, like a head feint. Everything is a head feint with
But
him.
but it's like the devil making you think he doesn't exist. He'll make you think he's dumb. Donald Trump is not dumb. I knew that at the time, but I was like, is it weird that I think that he's dumb?
How long do you think that'll go on?
we have to do Jaws.
Do you realize? Do you know what the significance of the Jaws theme is?
Give him the significance of the Jaws theme.
Because secretly, Louie is really pissed the way Trump treated his sister, and he's really got a kind of a deep-seated anger against him that's going on for a really long time. And no, you can't be talking about Trump for very long before he's like Quinn from Jaws. Before he starts with, "I remember the night he came over. Had a spray on tan even then. Bastard." Right, and you can see that he actually doesn't like him.
And that's why hence the Jaws music, which was very well played, Dustin. That sounded
Yeah.
really delightful. I liked it.
We do
Probably
what we
can't
can.
air
man.
that segment though.
We could actually.
We got to edit that out for
Yeah.
the pod so we don't get
I
sued.
don't think we're able to use that.
That was a cover.
That was the cover, Spielberg.
I was just humming that.
Who's the guy that segue again? Irrelevant, but who's the guy that came? That was the guy who wrote all those themes, like for Star Wars and
John Williams.
John Williams. Brilliant.
Still going.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a brilliant. I mean, we are in award season. We're not going to get into that subject. I'm kiboshing
boy.
that as I bring it up right now.
What?
No. But Ricky Gervais.
Ricky
Okay,
Gervais.
this is a bad segue, but we need to discuss this. Ricky Gervais. Ricky Gervais. If anybody that doesn't know that's here, that it's in the audience or listening out there, Ricky Gervais. He hosted. Ricky Gervais hosted the Golden Globes, which, by the way, they just started doing about 5 years ago, and he's hosted all of them. They never had a host before. So Ricky, and in his monologue, he was like, this is the last time I'm going to do this. And he went fucking hell bent for leather.
But that's his shtick. He does it every time he's up there. He's
No.
like, "I'm never doing
This
again, so who
time,
cares?"
but this time it was like, it seemed like he went a little bit deeper.
Because he went after liberal Hollywood.
Well, he didn't just go after them. He said, we don't want it. We don't want to hear you. I can't do it.
Can you do
We
it?
don't want
Can
to
you do
hear
it?
I haven't heard it. Do it.
We don't want to hear. We don't want your political opinions. Come
Oh.
up here, get your little awards, and sit the fuck down. We don't want to hear your opinions. We don't want to hear. And they go to Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is the audience like, this is my night. I'm getting the Cecil B. DeMille Award tonight. You know, and I mean, it was almost cringeworthy if it wasn't kind of. I don't know.
I thought it was
It was
great.
also kind of brilliant.
Wait, you were cringing at that?
No. Cringing at the audience, cringing at him. I was cringing at the scene.
Are you an elite?
I like to think of myself
You're
as
the
a very
Hollywood
broke elitist. Yeah.
Excuse me. A broke. Darrell, as the only one with any kind of celebrity on this stage,
I
how
take
did,
offense to that.
how did you feel about
I'll have
Ricky's-
everybody know out there that I am up for verification right now, as is Mike Gardner Jose, and we have a contest to see who can get verified first. He's winning.
Fact check. Twitter has suspended the verification process for the time being.
No, I meant
That's true.
I meant Insta.
Nice.
Darrell, did you watch the?
No, so
No.
many people sent that to me. Like 20 people.
Were they sending it to you because they were like, "Can you believe this fucking guy?" Or were they like, "Oh my god, he's
How
hilarious"?
funny this is.
Yeah.
But, you know, a couple of them said he maybe went a little farther than other hosts.
I think Amy
didn't Amy Poehler and Tina Fey do it once?
They're doing it again.
Yeah,
they
they're
just
doing it
got
next year.
So he's not the only host.
no.
No.
There've been.
All
other
right, so I
hosts.
was wrong.
It's all
I
right.
was walking in here tonight actually, and like 5 doors down in the cafe, there were all these guys having coffee, and one guy was reciting the monologue with glee. He was, like, and then he
I
told
mean, it
them,
was pretty.
"Shut
it
the
was,
fuck up
do
and
another
take your
joke,
little
Louie."
award."
Yeah.
It was pretty.
do
it was
another
It
joke.
was pretty amazing what he did, and I think that it was. And listen, getting back to shelter for the politically homeless, he knows his audience. He knows there's enough people that are going to be like, "Thank God, finally somebody said that. We don't want to hear all your political takes. We love the fact that Joaquin Phoenix, which by the way, amazing performance, loved, and Todd Phillips, Joaquin." Because I know both of them listen to this show.
The Joker.
The Joker was an amazing performance and another political statement. But
Wait. He made them go vegan.
that's what I was just gonna say. The entire show, which they serve food at, and it's a show that's, you know, they give you dinner. Everybody gets fucked up. There's lots of drinking going on, and he made it the entire show be vegan.
Joaquin.
Did he
Joaquin.
single-handedly do
Well,
that?
he
he was
they did it
influential
for
in it.
him.
Yeah.
Because, spoiler alert, I'm pretty sure the Golden Globes is the one award show that they know who's going to win before the show.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah, except Oscars, no. But
I miss the good old days when men could be men and women were in the kitchen and people ate lobster and steak at award shows.
Look at that. Boom.
Fact check.
And we got another applause for that.
those what a
Heck yeah.
days.
Are
That
they
was
not?
great.
Is that gone?
Nobody
Well,
gets the All in the
it's-
Family reference.
It says that Joaquin
Got it.
Phoenix kicked off his speech thanking them for doing the vegan thing, but I don't think it was his
No, there's
thing.
he got arrested on Friday and they talk
for
about
being a vegan.
No, you know,
Eat
if
meat.
I were in charge, no, he got arrested because he was doing that climate protest with that other famous person,
Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen, and it's the
Jane Fonda.
thank you, Jane Fonda.
Yeah, that's her thing.
Yeah, so they got arrested, but then in the article about him getting arrested, it talked about how he was influential in influencing the Hollywood Foreign Press Association in going vegan for the Golden Globes. Maybe I should be the fact checker.
Listen.
Hey,
I think.
jump on back here, man.
Listen.
Pretty lonely.
Here's the thing. You talk about influencers and being easily influenced. I watched that. I watched that documentary Game Changer.
Oh, and when
If anybody's
vegan?
seen Game Changer,
Oh my
right?
God,
I
you
watched.
are
No. I
massive.
went vegan for 4 days. I tried it. It was good until my ex-girlfriend looked at me and said I looked very sickly.
Hold on, you have
So I
to
wasn't getting
explain
any-
to the people what Game Changer
Game Changer is a documentary that explains the science behind what it does to what meat does to the body versus what vegetables. And there's tremendous athletes on there, like guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who I used to eat meat to get big, and now I eat vegetables only.
Can we
And
have
he did-
the impressionist do impressions?
He likes. I do it for Darrell. I do my bad impressions for. I'm a one audience. It's like Mitch. It's like Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump. I have one audience. And they had these guys on there saying like this is just this is it, and you got 4 days, no cheese, nothing. But last night I changed my sales a little bit, and I became a flexitarian.
Oh gosh.
Anybody
I
familiar
like
with a flexitarian?
I'm gonna kill myself.
Flexitarian is you're basically plant-based, right? But you're flexible. You can, if you're at an event, like I went to your house. I went to your house and you guys made beautiful chicken. I didn't say, I just watched Game Changer. I'm a vegan. I ate the fucking chicken because I'm a flexitarian. I didn't know there was a word for it.
It's like a pescatarian. I never really understood
Yeah, I don't think
that.
you really need a label for
Yeah,
that.
you're
That's just
a-
eating
you're
food.
Just eating a food. You're just a normal
Just
person.
people that just
Everything
eat
needs
food.
a
I
label.
need a system. I need a system and I need a label. And my system is that I am plant-based as my base. But
You're just
if
a
I'm
food
at
eater.
fucking, if I go to Oprah and she wants to serve me oysters, I'm not going to say I can't eat them because Oprah invites me over all the time, guys.
Yeah.
I've been over there 3 or 4
He's
times.
gonna get that check.
Oh, boy.
Oh, that I like. Oh,
That wasn't
awesome.
me, but
that was
God
perfectly
turned off
timed.
the lights there.
That was Oprah. I said something about Oprah that wasn't true, and the lights went
The
out.
lights went
That's
out.
That
fucking
was
creepy.
symbolism right
Oprah, I
there.
love you.
That's why I found
God.
you,
Cannot.
buddy.
I
with
knew
Oprah.
Oprah was God.
Can't
did-
fuck
I
with
knew it all
Oprah.
along.
Can't-
I did. I will admit. I did veganism for 6 months.
After Game Changer?
No, I
Okay.
haven't seen that. I read Eating Animals, which was done by this author who wrote Everything is Illuminated, which then became a great movie. But it wasn't like pounding it down your throat that you're a horrible human because you eat steak. It was really well rounded, and it talked about how like culture is wrapped around food and what that means, and it just made sense to me. It was hard for me because it gives you enough knowledge where it's like, okay, I don't have to. There's one thing about like I love meat, I love lobster, I love whatever, but I don't have to. So I figured, fuck it, I'm gonna try it.
Well, this is
And I
what
ended up doing it for like 6 months.
this is what Game Changer did, and it played on all men, because it said, listen, we did a test where there was a group of gentlemen, and we fed one of them beef or meat, and the other 3 just vegetables.
Oh, yeah, the libido
right?
test.
No. It was an actual because they said it's all very exciting. Now at night, men tend to get an erection. So what we've done is we've wrapped around the thing on the base and this thing above the head, and we're going to measure the erections
It was
after.
It was the midnight boner test.
Yeah, it was a midnight boner test.
What is the name of this one?
The Game Changer.
And they do an erection test.
They do an erection. So
Is that
it gets
why
this.
you
So they
watch
said.
So wait,
So
no,
after
Darrell
the
and I
Can
perked
I
up.
just want to understand?
yeah.
They put roast beef around the tip.
No. Somebody
It's
ate.
a
One
prosciutto.
gentleman ate beef, and the other 3 ate just vegetables, and they were going to compare the blood flow, as it were, into the male genitalia at night. Which any men in the audience ever get an erection?
No, that wasn't the
That's
test,
just
though.
not anymore.
And they put a loop around the base and a loop around, and they're going to say the percentage of growth and how long it stayed erect and all of it. And the plant eaters apparently stayed hard for hours when the meat guy was hard for like 12 minutes.
No. That's wrong. That's wrong. It's right what he's saying, but they did the same test on 3 athletes. So they gave them 1 beef burrito and then 1 veggie burrito.
Okay,
all
so I
3
got the story
athletes-
wrong, but basically that's what happened, right?
Yeah, and then the veggie guys, when they ate the veggie burritos, their night boners were longer and their girth was bigger and
Bigger girth from vegetables.
I have to tell you, this reminds me of walking in Jackson Square in New Orleans.
Why? What happened there, buddy?
Well, because the male hookers will come up as they walk by, and they'll give you length and girth. They'll like, they're like, "Hi, how are you?"
Whoa.
No
Yeah.
way. Is
Are they
that
plant-based?
unique to New Orleans?
I never had it happen anywhere else.
Are they plant?
Yeah, I don't know because it doesn't happen in WeHo, and if it happened anywhere else, it would definitely happen in WeHo.
Yeah, they give you the circumference and length with their hands.
So they go like
gestures.
this, like.
Yeah,
That's so efficient.
yeah, they're like. And you're like, why do you guys keep
You're like-
coming up to me? I'm not gay.
I'm a vegan.
All right, here's what I love about the shelter for the politically homeless. We start in Iran, we get to Twitter, we turn vegan, we have meat wrapped around our things.
No.
And
we ate
now
meat
we're in New
before.
Orleans.
And now we're in New Orleans.
different-
And the greatest thing
Yeah.
of the way that they did this documentary is so the person comes out and they say that the erections lasted longer for the when they do it, and then right after that, Schwarzenegger comes up. I only eat vegetables now. Like literally right after that, he got his plug in that he's 70 now and just eats vegetables, so that if anybody wants to get out there and you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
that's pretty
Well-
convenient though. Get to eat meat till you're 70, and then you're like,
And
I'm
drive a
plant-based
Hummer
now.
for like half of your life.
Yeah.
And now you're eating broccoli. But,
Congratulations.
Well, just a fact check. I looked up the movie Game Changers here. It says critics pointed out factual inaccuracies on the information presented, a misleading usage of data taken out of context, and flawed arguments against both meat and dairy in favor of pro-vegan interests.
Oh, there's a whole Joe Rogan had the one of the guy who did Game Changer, and then another scientist on to have a debate basically about all of the information and the science. And if you are interested in what the truth is somewhere in the middle there, watch that because he got debunked pretty badly. The
Well,
Game
I heard
Changers
you
episode.
can't get B12 from plant life.
That's true.
I don't know about that.
What
Sure.
B12 you have to
B12
you
has to
have
be red
it
meat or
has to be red
shellfish.
meat and or you get it from you know what are they called?
legumes.
No,
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yes,
sure,
please.
Bridget, please do.
How do you feel about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle leaving the monarchy?
I love it.
Do you?
The monarchy's
Are they gonna
dead.
are they gonna have the money to support themselves?
I read a thing today that they said they were going to give up their allowance or whatever, but they're only giving up 5%. They're keeping 95%.
Yeah, well, they're real
What
troopers.
does that amount to?
So the
They're
queen
real-
is gonna
How brave of them.
Yeah.
so the queen is gonna keep shelling out and paying
But what do
For
we
the-
know?
for her to-
What
for
are
the-
the duties? Sorry.
for the crown to be. They're mocking the crown. Huh?
Well, they're not mocking the crown. They were a little bit abused. Does anybody else notice
They're
that this?
abused.
they were
by
in
the
their
press.
mind. They were a bit, they were being taken advantage of in their minds, and she kind of convinced him to bounce because honestly, he's just, in England, it's known as the heir and the spare, and he would be the spare. So she's like, I'm the wife of the spare. Let's just bounce. We'll get more news if we do that.
She signed a deal
Whoa,
with
whoa.
Disney an hour after they made the announcement. She would rather be a Disney princess than an actual princess.
Who wouldn't?
Which makes
Is that
sense.
not admirable though? Like, that's just a life that.
You knew what you
What comes
signed
with
up for,
that?
Megan. You knew the job. Sorry.
All right, I want to shift gears. That's a beautiful thing. The royal family. I love that.
That's a beautiful thing
we,
you
so we
just
stuck
did
our
there.
toe in that. We stuck our toe in that water. We're going to do that next week because we're going to talk about that royal story. We're also going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew again because I have a sneaking suspicion something's going to happen this week that we're going to need
Can
to
you
talk
just
about.
flesh that out a minute?
Yeah. Let's.
Well, we had,
Oh, boy.
the Queen talk about advocations of thrones and people leaving the royal family. The Windsors is on right now, by the way, on I believe Netflix.
Who do you
plug?
know that you're plugging that show for? We're
you-
sponsored by the
Are you doing a
Windsors.
walk-on role in the show?
So Prince Andrew was
background.
unceremoniously asked to leave the family because of the accusations of the Jeffrey Epstein relationship and Lolita Express, the plane, and the island.
Pedophilia.
And he did an interview where in this interview he he did an interview where he basically nobody thought it was a good idea this guy do this interview. Like nobody. They're like, do not do this interview. And he did the interview, completely shit the bed, which is an actual term. In this interview, so much that the Queen was like, you've got to go. You've got to go. Audience of one, you've got to go.
Wait, what did she say?
You've got to go. You've got to move out. He kicked her out of the house. She kicked him out of the house. I mean, listen, it's not the only 70-year-old man living with his mother who's, accused of being a pederast, but he had to leave the house, and there's just a lot to unpack there, Darrell.
Well, what did he say in the interview that she objected to?
That's what's going to happen this week. I'm going to actually watch the interview.
Yeah, be good to fact check that.
So that
when
when I bring it
on the
up,
show
so that when I
I'm sure
bring it
that's
up,
Why'd you
not
get
true.
booted out of the palace, buddy?
no, he hadn't gotten booted out. He got booted out post-interview.
Heard you used to live at Buckingham Palace, dude. What happened, dude?
Rent $750.
Yeah.
He
How'd
got
you fuck that one up?
So I would like to dive in for the last little section of the show tonight. I'd like to talk about there is an election going on this year in
What?
2020 for President of the United States.
Wow.
Are you guys familiar?
Who's in it?
And we had, as Dustin gave us at the top of the show, Marianne Williams had dropped out to the surprise of no one.
She was my
Castro.
pick.
And, Pete Buttigieg. I got to learn how to say these names.
Boot-
Just
too.
call him Mayor
Look at the
Pete.
T-shirt. Boot.
America's mayor.
Mayor Pete.
And I was having an interesting conversation with my friend Darrell this week where Darrell was like, Darrell said, and it was brilliant. He said, Louie, this is my Darrell impression.
Do your impression of me.
That's the only
First of all,
guy-
everyone
that-
at Saturday Night Live does an impression of me.
He's
so-
like, he said, Louie, that's, because it's sort of Clinton, but not. And then it's just Darrell. He said, Louie, Mayor Pete is the only one that Trump
I didn't
can't
talk with a
dunk.
southern
He
accent.
said that Trump can't dunk on.
The
He said he's
fuck?
the only one he can't spike the ball in the end zone because he just can't. With Warren, he's got the Pocahontas, he spikes the ball. And he went down. He said why he spikes the ball on Biden because
Well,
of Ukraine.
Biden, Ukraine, he can create a shadow of a doubt of Biden in the Ukraine. And
Why can't
Sanders-
he spike the,
Sanders is a communist.
why can't he
Because
spike the
Americans
ball on
don't know the
Buttigieg?
difference between socialists and communists. Okay, sorry.
And why
Yeah.
can't he spike the ball on Pete? What was your point?
What's the angle?
You tell me. You were saying he definitively could not. Why can he definitively not
He
spike
has
the
less
ball
of
on
an
Pete?
end zone than the other three, which Trump can dispatch pretty quickly once he wants to.
No innuendo on end zone with Pete.
Well, I mean, you can't go like, what are you going to say? What's Trump going to say about him, Louie?
I don't know. I mean, little Pete, but the little
no,
mayor.
Didn't he call
Was
him,
that your Trump impression?
Didn't he call him the guy from?
Oh, yeah, Mad Magazine?
Yeah.
Albert C.
Alfred,
Newman, but
yeah.
nobody knows who that is. So he
Yeah.
covered him. He out
Well,
clevered
all
himself
of
on
his
that.
are
one.
like
Okay,
these like
boomered himself.
throwbacks.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's one where Alfred C. Newman, you're not going to get a
Alfred
lot of.
E.
But I
people.
mean, I was going to say in a debate setting, but Trump's not going to do debates, right?
I wouldn't imagine.
This is what I want to ask.
Do debates.
He'll do debates.
He said he's
No.
not going to do the debates.
He said every president says that at this point. He'll do debates. It's
Right.
great theater. It's great TV. He's
Doubt
all
it.
about
I
ratings.
don't know. I'm on the fence on that.
I don't think he
know.
will.
I don't think he will.
He's going to do
What
debates.
does the audience think? I want to know.
Yeah.
Debates or not, guys? Clap if you think Trump is gonna do debates.
Really?
For those listening at home, that was 3/4 of our audience that just clapped. So that was thunderous applause.
We have a representative audience of America, as you mentioned.
I have a question to throw out and see if this is any good. The Supreme Court's going to vote this year whether or not Trump has to show his finances and his taxes, correct?
At this
If
point,
they say no, he doesn't have to show his finances, doesn't have to show his taxes, all those financial records from the old days, from Atlantic City, does not have to show them. Doesn't he essentially become a king that day?
You've said that before, and I've thought about that.
No, I'm asking.
I don't think so. I think
I mean,
he
should we
just has
call
to.
it- we'll
He
have to
just
call-
doesn't have to show his finances. I don't think. I think that.
The
I think the fear that and I had the same fear that like we're all of a sudden this is going to turn into a monarchy and it's going to be Don Jr. next and then the other
They are at the top of the
rocket
polls for
scientist.
2024.
But it's like You know, and that's
Yeah.
and they're just going to be appointed. That's not going to happen. We're not going to lose our system because of this guy. If he does get
I don't
elected in
believe in that.
2020, he's going to
What?
leave in 2024.
do.
I don't think.
I think we're all in great jumpsuits.
Yeah, I
in
think
4
we
years.
do risk that. And the autocracy conversation we had earlier, like I do kind of think there's something to that because
I don't think he's that powerful, and I think you overestimate.
If the
Go ahead.
Supreme Court's
Yeah,
in his
please.
pocket, he's that powerful.
Dustin, we have some audience members that want to speak. Can you bring
Right.
up the mic,
Yeah.
please? This is actual audience participation time. There's a lot of
Yeah.
you in here, so please don't grab for the mic. Please
your
don't
hand up. Who wants to
jump
say
on
something?
each other. We
line
don't
up
want
once
any
at a- one at a
riots.
time.
The
This
handsome
young
gentleman
man in
up
the
front. What I said to you is
You were
something.
outraged.
I said something about Trump.
Now,
being-
a danger. No,
Autocracy and whether he was going to kingmaker. or not.
Matt,
His whole goal, you've got the entire
The mic's right there.
You've got the entire Senate and the entire House of Representatives, the Republican side of it, that are backing whatever he does. As far as not even wanting to call witnesses for an impeachment trial, that people don't even see that he's in fact doing these things that at least warrant having it be looked into. He's refusing to allow any of the people that work for him to go forward and answer these questions. He's doing everything in his power to turn it into a monarchy. And with the support of the Supreme Court, which has now got the conservative majority, two of them selected by him, it seems to be going in that direction. I don't know that it'll happen. I don't
Well,
think we're
John
strong
Roberts
enough.
is barely a conservative still. Let's be honest. He's very he.
Well, you have the you have the court packing.
Everyone's in lockstep with who?
Whatever Trump wants. I mean, he's using the checks and balances system to obstruct justice, and people are allowing him to do it. Now, that's what my Uber driver said.
Goober.
Because I don't know nothing.
Okay, now we're gonna getting back to the question of where do we all get our news sources. I know for a fact Darrell gets 80% of his news from his Uber drivers. Because every
I get
time
all
I
my
see
news
Darrell,
from Uber.
every time I see Darrell after he's gotten out of an Uber, he's like, "Well, my Uber."
No, and then
driver."
I'll go up to Louie and I'll say shit like, didn't President Clinton also shoot a missile the day before his impeachment trial? Did he shoot a missile into Iraq one time?
Yeah, because that's what's.
Is
Literally.
that Darrell doing Darrell?
Yeah, that's my inner child. Did he do that sometime? Didn't Joe Biden also do something?
Do we have anybody else in the audience that wants to say anything about the subject matter we've been talking about?
Questions, sir?
This is what's your name?
Hi, I'm Randall Harlan. I just want to say, I think y'all need to respect our president. He is the president, and just be respectful. And the situation, thank you. And the situation with Iran, they tried to bomb our embassy. So don't tell me we can't go attack them when they attacked us first. Thank you.
Were we
Thank
being
you, Randall.
disrespectful? I don't think anybody was being disrespectful. I mean, he did try to bang my sister, but that was 20 years ago.
Louis has a
That was
personal
different-
thing
That
with
was a
this,
personal thing, but
well, I think
We
we
said
for
some really nice
clarification-
things about him. I think we said he's very, very clever. He understands, the ins and outs of politics better than anyone that's ever been. I mean, what's wrong with that?
But is it us or are you talking about like?
I think he
America,
means
like
in
you're talking about-
general, people in the media. I imagine you don't like the media much, sir.
Well, I'm just saying that he is our president, and there were some things said that I just don't like to hear. That's all I'm saying. The man is our president. Let's just be respectful.
Can I just? I do want to ask a counter question to that, which I agree with you. Is he doing that in his own life? Is he being respectful? Like when he calls someone Pocahontas, or when he says people should get out of this country who are citizens, or are those examples of being respectful?
Nancy
He's
Pelosi.
saying-
Calling people names as a grown man, like
He's our president. If he wants to build a wall, let him build a wall.
I'm not talking about policy. I'm talking about decorum. I'm talking about what you're saying. Respect him. Like, don't say anything bad about him. He has a title of president. And if we believe in that, should the president also do that back? This is not, I'm literally just asking the question.
I don't understand the question, sir.
So
Randall Harlan does not understand the question.
does he not have to live by that same tone of respect?
He does.
And you think he is doing that?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Fair?
Thank you.
Sure.
Where are you from, sir?
From Hook Creek, Alabama.
Hook Creek, Alabama.
I'm from Dothan.
He's giving jobs. Look at the economy. Look how good the economy is now. What are you going to say to that?
Yeah,
So how do
Louie.
you define economy?
But at
Look-
what
What
The
I
stock
say the
market?
same thing. The economy is brilliant right now, but at what cost? And we don't know what cost when we talk about regulations
But
and
how
the
is it brilliant,
environment and
too?
what
Like-
it's. Well, because they'd say with the Dow Jones going up. I mean, my bank account hasn't improved at all, but apparently I'm doing something wrong because everybody else seems to be getting rich.
I had a guy say to me in Cleveland one time that I was performing with, and he's pretty famous, right? And he goes, I'm a black guy and I hate that motherfucker, but I do like going back to work again. I'm like, you're getting jobs again? He's like, all the time. People coming out to shows again.
I still think it's because of Uber and Lyft and all the delivery services that we have so many more jobs right now. But I think listen, I know my family's over the moon about this guy because of the fact that because stocks are where they are and the amount of money that they're making. I'm just not in that world, so I don't.
People at 30 Rock don't like me too much because I say nice things about the president sometimes.
30 Rock, if for anybody that don't know, is where they 30 Rockefeller Center, where they do SNL among many other NBC stations.
I think he's formidable in some ways.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at it like an anthropologist. I'm not like
Yeah.
I'm not that I want this guy to get elected or not get
Yeah.
elected.
Does anybody else
Well-
have something they want to say from the audience?
Thank you.
We got
Oh, here we go.
yeah,
Over here,
coming over.
Dustin.
Got
It's
the
coming
mic.
around.
Coming around
Right
the
here.
mic.
Please.
Please get political.
it's
Get-
political
get,
show.
That's why we're
get
here.
dirty.
It's a safe space.
Get
Too
dirty.
late for that. I'm with this gentleman here that we need to respect the president. I love the jokes and everything. We always joke about the president. We can joke about Obama. I didn't vote for Obama, but he was my president, and I did respect him.
Sure.
And so now it seems like we're in a different world where, well, Trump's not my president.
Yeah.
I don't get that. I really don't. Let's all get behind the
Who
president.
says that?
I think a lot of people do.
I'm not talking about you guys up there.
He's
you
not
girls.
saying us,
I'm
but
saying
I
in
agree.
general.
I think a lot
hear
of people do
Trump's
say that.
not my president. I just hate hearing that because
Well, you have
you're
this.
either an American or you're not. If
Yeah,
you're
you-
not,
right.
Yeah,
eat
you.
it, but get behind the president like I got behind Obama when I did not vote for him, but by God, he was my president, and I respected him for that.
And we,
So just the other non-political thing as far as the stock market, there are truck drivers and warehouse people that all have 401ks.
Yeah.
And that is invested in the stock
Yeah.
market. It's not the rich. It's not just the rich.
No, I said just me.
No,
I
no,
know
I
that.
know, I know.
I know that I'm at the bottom of the food
Oh, yeah,
chain.
yeah,
I
I
see.
get
I
it.
can see that. I'm
I-
just kidding. I'm just,
Yeah, no, me. I'm
No,
different.
I'm teasing. But it's just the 401ks. Everybody says, "Oh, that's the rich and the rich." It's not just the rich. It's the people working in warehouses with a 401k. It's the people driving trucks with a 401k. So the stock market is for everyone, and you need to get in. Well,
Well, I'm
jump
a little
in.
bit cash poor right now.
hang on.
I live off the door from this show, and there's 5 of you, so
But
I will not be able to
I
make
invested
that.
I made one
Yeah.
investment in my life. I
Reason.
invested in Suboxone, the only known treatment for opiate
Thank
addiction.
you.
Ah.
So
Well,
I've
I got-
definitely made a lot of investments
Nice.
in medication.
Pays
Well, have I
off.
got the thing for you.
Plenty of dope fiends out there.
Well, listen, okay, so getting back to this note, thank you for that. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. And thank you, Mr. Harlan
Yeah.
Randall.
And I
From
do
Hook
want to
Creek,
clarify, though, that
yeah.
I wasn't trying to insinuate that the economy was doing good or bad. I was trying to see how we are defining that, because I think people see the economy in different ways, and it means something different to different people. So
What I like is we had both ranges of opinion that got
Yep.
presented today.
that's great.
Yes.
That's what we want.
And that's a really good forum, no?
We
Well,
should-
the shelter for the politically homeless is to try to create a safe space for discourse, and a safe space and it's great that it's a round table because, right around Thanksgiving, I was like, a lot of people are going to go home to their families, and there's going to be people in the family with completely different political views, and it's so heated right now. I can imagine, like, if politics get brought up at Thanksgiving, it's not going to end well. Because you're going to have somebody at that table that's pro and anti, and it's going to get bad. So there has to be a way that you can do it where we can go back to being able to bring up stuff and have it not turn into fisticuffs.
I think we have it pretty good in America. So my place that I always come from is we need more gratitude for what we have in general. And it's easy to have everything become an existential crisis when you're constantly in that political sphere, when you might be arguing with someone online on Facebook or at the table, a family member, and then you walk out and, you know, everything is the best it's ever been for humanity, really, in the history of the species. No applause.
I'm
Well,
Look,
You're sitting here in a great, you
look.
know, I feel lucky.
I live in West Hollywood. I have to
Maybe-
walk a
maybe
block
that's
to
just
get to
me.
the grocery store. A whole block.
Guys,
Maybe that's
Darrell
my
just
car privilege.
And
that
they
I
don't
have
have vegan
speaking.
Thai.
Darrell just lost Marianne Williamson. It's been a tough
They
couple,
don't have vegan
couple
Thai in
weeks.
West Hollywood.
by the way, that was all really great stuff up top, Dustin.
Yeah,
it
it
was all
was
very
excellent.
topical. It was new. You
You're
really
very
went for it.
sweet.
I'm
Thank
so
you.
and me, all 4 of us, and the 3 people in the audience really appreciated it. Round of applause for Dustin, everybody.
Yeah.
Up here, if we want it to sound like anything, guys, let's
Too
clap.
kind. Too kind.
Yeah, no, it's actually very funny
I
stuff.
appreciate this audience.
It was
do
very,
too.
I love this
I do
audience. This
too.
is amazing. This feels really good.
And the-
Now, this is the first time that we've done this show with the 4 of us like this for the entirety of the show. So we're in the lab. So in the lab, it's an experiment. We're experimenting. We've been experimenting with this show for like, what is this? Our 15th show. Aaron came on about 6 or 7 shows ago. Bridget was on as a guest. This is her first time on as a member of the show. And it's like, as a show that's being done in the lab, we're trying to figure out like what works and what's a really good forum for this show. And this is the first time it's been the 4 of us up here for the entirety of the show. And it's felt pretty good. It's felt great. You guys have been a great audience for that.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate that. I'm not closing the show. I know that sounded like I
Sounded-
was.
Did he put the
We're not-
jacket on? I can't
I'm
see
not,
that.
no, because the jacket
Jacket's
is
not on.
You'll know the show's about them when I do the Mr. Rogers stand-up with put the jacket on. I want to get back to this election. I want to get back to 2020 because listen, we're in January. The election is 9 months from now, 10 months from now. What is it? Is that
It just
11?
went up a month. I think.
I love
290
but-
some odd days away.
10 and a half months from
let
now,
me
we are going to
check
go to the polls.
The
And
commonality
as it
app.
stands right now, I hate to break it to all the liberals in the audience, but Trump's getting reelected unless somebody from the left comes up with idea. 296 says he has a counter.
It's my
Unless somebody on the left comes up with something more than just Trump is the devil, you have to come up with your own plan. And so far, nobody has. And if they underestimate this guy, he's going to get reelected. And the point that Darrell makes to me is imagine the list of people this guy's going to have revenge against after he's reelected. You know, and it's like until the left really steps up and starts not playing this game and puts somebody up, that's listen, say what you will about Donald Trump, and I said this before too. Donald Trump infuriates people. He gets emotions up in people. He has inspired a total of 0 people to be better people. Zero people.
I disagree with that. I
You know,
disagree with that.
And I don't. He doesn't. To me,
I
he
I don't
doesn't
think,
inspire
I don't
anybody.
think just because you don't share the worldview of everybody else that he doesn't inspire people. Because I believe there are people out there who are very inspired by him and who love him and think that he's doing great things for the country, and to just dismiss that all as
I
incorrect.
didn't say he wasn't doing great. That's not what
well,
I said.
if
I said inspires people to be better people. What person out there is like, that Donald Trump makes me want to go and be a really good person.
But
He
maybe-
makes me want to go out and live life really well and live by principles and be a really great guy and give away money.
there might be people out there who are inspired by him.
I think a
don't
lot of
think
people
it's
are.
fair to say that that's not the case.
Well,
I just
Agreeing with
I-
it or not is one thing, but I do think a lot of people are inspired. I mean, the base is definitely riled up, and I think there's a lot of people who think, finally, there's a strong man who's not going to take any more shit, who's going to start looking at the border, who's going to start looking out for me. Whether he does or not, and whether policy follows that, that's what I'm really interested in, right? That's what I want to see. But he does that very well, and I think he inspires people on that level.
I think any person that comes up from the left who's a truly inspirational person can beat Donald Trump. And I'll
No.
say it again. And
there's no one on
there's
the left.
nobody on the left. That was my point. That's more my point. It wasn't about, my point was that that's where he's beatable. You can't beat him in the name calling. You can't beat him in the media. You can't beat him on Twitter. The only thing that can beat Donald Trump is if somebody comes up that inspires people so much, they will destroy him.
Yeah, but it
It's part
depends.
of
Again, it depends on your version of inspiration. So, a lot of people would say Bernie is inspiring, but he's inspiring people to be socialists, for example. And there's a lot of people who would be like, "That's amazing," and there are a lot of people who are like, "Fuck that." That's crazy, and are not inspired by it. So different things
His
inspire
speeches are very
different
inspiring,
people.
except Trump's going to pulverize them with the socialist tag.
I just think different
I think
things
this-
inspire different people. It depends on your values and where you come from. So to say that it's that there's somebody who can inspire this like great, group of people to beat Donald Trump is
No. It has to be inspiring people on a different level than just beating Donald Trump, which was my point. It has to be inspiring people because of their plan for the country, inspiring people for this is the direction I think the country needs to go in. This is where we need to go. Just like Donald Trump did with Build a Wall, immigration.
But I think that most people and center left, anyone really right of Bernie is not necessarily inspired by what's being presented from the loudest candidates on the left.
That's my point. There's once again, for the fourth time, I will say there's nobody on the left that's inspiring. And if there was somebody who could just inspire, that person would beat Donald Trump. Right now, I don't see that person as existing on the left.
Darrell.
I think it's like Prince Andrew said to the cheerleading school that was doing a tour of Buckingham Palace, and he asked to speak to them.
What did he say?
He said, "A thing is neither good or bad, but thinking makes it so." He's quoting Hamlet.
That's quoting. He dropped that when he asked them.
She walks in, "What in the world are you doing?" "Oh, just having a word with the cheerleaders from
Sounds like
Boston."
Count Dracula.
How's that? Is that
He is.
no, well, I like to do this thing. We're so distressed. Sorry.
No, please
A
continue.
thing is neither good or bad, but thinking makes it so.
That-
He was saying that to the cheerleading squad.
One
yeah, the
Shakespeare
Firefly Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a reference from Wag the Dog. Firefly Girls.
Gotcha. Well,
But listen, I think that's where we're at. I think that's where we're at with
Quick
this
point,
election. Go ahead.
Point of
because-
personal privilege.
Sure. All right. We're disjointed.
Gentleman
we have
does not recognize.
4,000 candidates.
I now recognize
Well played.
the communists from New
This
York.
is a sham. No, there's, well, I don't know what it is now, 17 candidates left or whatever it is. So
Five.
they each have their own inspired base to a fraction of the whole body there.
We're
and-
basically down to the Fab Four.
No, I think it's 5, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's 5 in the debates.
yeah, but I'm not talking about debates. I'm talking
Oh,
about who's
yeah.
actually still running. And there's still Bennett, there's still Delaney,
Oh, right.
there's a lot of people who are still in this race. There's Bloomberg and Steyer who are buying their way up. Like there's all different factions on the left. So it's hard to say that they're not inspiring the whole base because the base is waiting to see who that's going to be to a certain extent. I think that conversation is more relevant when we have that person and then you see who this ticket is. Then it's a much different and deeper conversation. It's hard to have that conversation right now.
Well, but I'm
As much as
saying
we
that
want
should be a
it.
goal.
Of course.
That
but-
has, it
but
doesn't
that-
seem
my
like that's
point
the
is-
goal.
Bernie,
It's like our goal is at 80% if he can just beat Donald Trump. That's our candidate. Well, you're not going to get a candidate that can beat Donald Trump if it's not a candidate that inspires you on every other level too. And that's the part that they're just not seeing.
No one's beating him.
What?
no one's beating him, she said. I
And-
think he has a very good
Bridget
chance
is
of
a
winning
very
again.
pro-Trump person,
No.
and Louie
She's a
not
centrist.
as much, huh?
I mean,
I'm
I don't,
very
I
center.
don't hate him.
I
I'm
don't hate him, and I'm very center.
I'm
I am
not
underneath
all-
the red
All right,
lights.
I'll say
here.
this to Mr. Harlan. I lost so much when I said in Newsweek magazine 3 years ago at Politico in Pasadena, this guy's got something going on. You shouldn't treat him like he's a joke. He's going to take your shit from you. He's a serious dude. I lost a lot of fucking shit. I lost a lot just from saying that in Newsweek. But the people in my world that I trust and love the most, who are smarter than me, are so like Bridget. They want
They're
him
MAGA.
to be. Oh,
They
really?
are.
They
They're
want him
beyond
to be
MAGA.
reelected.
Yeah, they want him to be
And they don't
reelected.
care if he's a scumbag or whatever you want to say about him, because their feeling is it's really not about right or wrong or good or bad. It's power, and he
Yeah.
understands power.
Yeah.
You know, really, really well. I mean, we had the one guy in here was hated Trump more than anyone that ever lived, who sat right there and admitted, and yet something did have to be done about China.
Who's?
Yep.
I don't remember that person.
You remember that guy?
No, I don't remember that guy.
All right.
Our host. Louie Sabatasso.
Anyway,
I could be just making it up, and so what?
Either way, you do have to do something about China. We are now going to go. We have just a couple minutes left. Let's start with Dustin. Do you have anything you want to talk about to plug for this week, or?
This upcoming week, I have to change my contact lenses on Tuesday.
All right.
Tuesday morning. Change out the old contact arenas. And
Great.
next Saturday, I'll be here at the Hollywood Improv, 5 p.m. with the crew of the Shelter for the Politically Homeless.
Thank you, Dustin. Aaron.
Big plug. CommonAlly.com, the Common Ally app, nonpartisan issue-based app for young people to activate them, no matter how they feel. So.
CBS this Sunday morning, talking about children's advocacy, and SNL doing whatever.
Doing whatever.
Oh.
Bridget?
I have a podcast called Walk-Ins Welcome. We have a variety of guests. They're really exciting. This past week we had Michael Malice, an anarchist. He's hilarious. And we have a show, I have a show on YouTube called Dumpster Fire, where we get to laugh at all this stuff. It's not so serious. And I'll be here next week.
Well, I got nothing else going on but this show, so there's really nothing for me to say here other than that I will be here next week. And also this week you'll be able to catch, well, whatever. At some point we'll probably go back on Tim Conway Jr.'s radio show, which was hugely successful.
And we're
going to
be at Denny's.
and
next
we're and we're,
Denny's, Pasadena.
so what do you guys think of us changing the name from the Summit at the Improv to Shelter for the Politically Homeless? One? I mean, well, I think Shelter for the Politically Homeless is more descriptive than the Summit at the Improv. No? I mean, that was our thinking, and if you guys said I'm being genuine with this question. Our rationale behind that was we think it describes the show. First of all, I think it's brilliant. Bridget came up with it a year ago. She's letting us use it. I think it's amazing. It's definitely a tagline, if nothing else. But to me, it describes what the show is in a better way. Yeah, that's okay. So still just the one audience. But ladies and gentlemen, that's still 50% of our audience. So, you know, we're going to go ahead and go with that. Thank you all so much for coming.
Thank you, everyone.
Next week, our guest next week is Sophia Alexander, who's a comic, and she's from Ukraine. So maybe we'll get into some Ukrainian talk next week, which will be amazing.
Oh, boy.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming. See you next week.
Alrighty, thanks for coming out to the world famous Hollywood Improv. Watch your eyes as the house lights are coming up. We do have another show starting very shortly here in the lab, so if you guys could just head on over, close out your tabs. The main bar is open all evening, but we do need to prepare the lab for the next show. Thanks for coming out to the summit every week here at the Hollywood Improv. We'll catch you next time. Get home safe.